The skies above Asgard shimmered with celestial fire. Thor, the god of thunder, stood atop the Bifrost Gate, Mjolnir in hand, watching the cosmos churn. It had been weeks since the 9 realms were rocked by tremors, so violent that even Yggdrasil, the world tree, quaked at its roots. Not since the coming of Surtur had such a cataclysm echoed through the realms. But this was no demon of Muspelheim. This was something older, something primal. The All-Father Odin had spoken of ancient forces, beings born not of magic, but of nature itself. Forces that slumbered beneath oceans, buried deep in the crust of Midgard. Creatures that could rival gods in raw power. Among them was one name that had been whispered in forbidden prophecies etched into stone by forgotten seers, Gojira. In ancient Midgardian tongue, he would later be known as Godzilla, a titan born of Earth's fury, woken by humanity's hubris, and forged in the nuclear fires of their own making. A beast neither good nor evil, but a wrathful balance to a world out of sync. Thor first heard the name from Heimdall, whose gaze had turned toward Earth after feeling a pulse. No, a roar that shook the very tether between Asgard and Midgard. Across oceans and mountains, cities trembled under the approach of a colossus. In Japan, ancient texts resurfaced, describing a god-beast that rose in times of imbalance. "He's coming ashore again," Heimdall said gravely. "But this time something is different. He is not here to restore balance. He is here to challenge power." Thor narrowed his eyes. "Whose power?" Heimdall turned. "Yours?" At first, Thor dismissed it. He had fought Jormungandr, bested the Hulk, and even clashed with Galactus himself. What could a mere beast from Midgard truly do against the might of Mjolnir and the power of the storm? But Odin's final vision, shared through a dream, was unshakable. Beware the creature that walks as a god, yet is no god. He who breathes the sun's wrath and walks with the weight of continents. He will not kneel to the heavens, and he will not fall to thunder. Thor felt the chill of that prophecy bite deeper than Uru metal, and so he descended to Midgard. Tokyo was already in ruins. Skyscrapers were half sunken into cracked earth, and the ocean had swallowed entire districts. A tidal wave of displaced water stretched miles inland. Godzilla had arrived. Thor descended like a comet, lightning trailing in his wake. Civilians pointed skyward, gasping at the sight of the glowing god in crimson cape and winged helm. He hovered above the ruined skyline, his eyes scanning the haze until he saw it, the silhouette of a leviathan emerging from the mist. Godzilla stood hundreds of feet tall, jagged spines glowing faintly with a deep blue pulse. His footsteps were seismic events, and yet there was no mindless rage in his eyes, only ancient simmering purpose. "Beast!" Thor roared, voice booming through clouds. "I am Thor Odinson of Asgard. Stand down and return to the depths, or face the fury of Mjolnir." Godzilla's response was a guttural growl that shook the air, followed by the hum of atomic energy building in his chest. The sky darkened. Lightning danced across the clouds, drawn by Thor's growing rage. Back in Asgard, Lady Sif and the Warriors Three begged the All-Mother Frigga to intervene. "Thor cannot defeat this creature alone," Sif argued. "He's not just fighting muscle and fang, he's facing nature's judgment." Frigga, with a sorrowful gaze, consulted the ancient scrolls. "Godzilla is no mere monster. He is the protector and destroyer, a balance forged in nuclear flame. If Thor strikes without cause, Midgard itself may suffer the backlash." But Thor had already made his decision. This wasn't just about Midgard. Something had shifted in the cosmic scale. Godzilla was no longer acting as Earth's guardian. His movements were deliberate, and his energy was climbing beyond the usual surges. There was talk among SHILD and Wakandan scientists. They had been tracking interdimensional rifts, pockets of unstable energy appearing across the globe. Godzilla had approached each one and destroyed them, except one. One tier remained, in the Norwegian Sea, a tier linked directly to Asgardian energy. Thor flew north, storm winds carrying him over snow-capped fjords and glacial cliffs. There, nestled within the crashing waves of the Norwegian Sea, hovered a rift crackling with cosmic energy. Thor hovered near it, feeling the pull of unstable magic. It was leaking reality itself. An Asgardian artifact, the Starbind rune, had been lost here during the last war with the Dark Elves. But guarding it was Godzilla. The Titan rose from the waves like a mountain. Eyes locked on Thor, the air grew hot, the water around them steaming. With every breath, Godzilla's dorsal fins glowed brighter. It was clear he wasn't here to protect the world from Thor. He was here to protect the world from the power Thor's realm had carelessly let slip. This was not a mindless beast rampaging across the land. This was a sentinel, standing between realms. But Thor, proud and born of storms, could not allow the Titan to claim Asgardian power. Words had failed. Warnings had passed. Now came the battle written into prophecy. Thor raised Mjolnir. The storm raged in tandem with his heartbeat. Godzilla opened his maw, and the atomic breath within began to glow like the heart of a sun. In that moment the world held its breath, when the god of thunder, chosen son of the All-Father, the other, king of the monsters, wrath of the earth. And as sky met sea, thunder met flame, the battle for balance had begun. The storm was alive. Waves the size of skyscrapers crashed against Godzilla's towering form as Thor descended from the clouds like a streak of vengeance. Mjolnir whirled through the tempest, charged with enough lightning to vaporize a mountain. Godzilla stood his ground, dorsal fins glowing brighter by the second, eyes narrowing with cold reptilian focus. With a cry that echoed across the North Atlantic, Thor hurled Mjolnir with all the force of the 9 realms behind it. The hammer struck Godzilla square in the chest, and for a moment, time seemed to freeze. The explosion was titanic. A column of light burst skyward, ripping apart clouds and boiling the sea below. The sheer force knocked back naval ships hundreds of miles away. Mjolnir returned to Thor's hand, crackling with residual energy. But Godzilla was still standing. Steam rose from his chest, a scorched patch visible on his armored scales, but the Titan roared, an ancient thundering defiance that rattled Thor's bones. Then the glow deep in Godzilla's throat returned, this time blindingly bright. In the span of a heartbeat, Godzilla unleashed his atomic breath, a concentrated beam of nuclear fury that tore through the air like a solar lance. Thor threw up Mjolnir and braced, but the blast struck him full force, hurling him backward with enough momentum to shatter the cliffs of a nearby fjord. Thor crashed into stone, coughing smoke, armor scorched. His chest plate steamed. "By the beard of Odin," he muttered, leaping back to the air, his blood roaring. Knowing he couldn't match the Titan's fire from afar, Thor closed the gap. He summoned a tempest so vast the skies turned black, lightning flashing like a war drum. He dove in with a fury unmatched, fist, hammer, knee, elbow, hitting Godzilla across the jaw, temple, and throat. The blows staggered the beast. For the first time, Godzilla faltered, roaring in frustration as Thor unleashed a maelstrom of blows at blinding speed. He spun Mjolnir in a tight vortex and drove it downward onto Godzilla's snout, knocking the Titan's head beneath the waves. Thor followed, plunging into the ocean after him. Beneath the sea, the battle raged even more violently. Thor summoned lightning that danced across the depths, frying sea creatures for miles. Godzilla retaliated with tail whips that cracked tectonic plates, sending shockwaves that registered across Earth's seismic networks. At one point, Thor tried to drive Mjolnir into Godzilla's throat, only to be blasted point blank by an atomic charge that detonated like a miniature sun. The ocean parted violently, and Thor was flung from the sea, trailing smoke and blood. He crashed onto a barren island, body broken, thunder fading. Bruised and battered, Thor staggered to his feet. His armor was cracked, the fabric of his cape torn. Blood seeped from the corner of his mouth. But he wasn't done. "I am the son of Odin," he growled. "I am the storm." He raised Mjolnir high, and the heavens answered. A bolt of pure divine lightning descended, not summoned, but gifted. It struck Thor, infusing him with celestial fire. His eyes turned white with power. For a fleeting moment, he was no longer just a god. He was a force of creation. When Godzilla emerged from the water, his spines gleaming brighter than ever, Thor launched himself skyward. Spinning Mjolnir faster than light, he gathered a hurricane in his wake and plummeted toward the beast like the fist of the cosmos itself. Mjolnir struck the base of Godzilla's neck, and everything went silent. The shock wave that followed shattered the island, tore apart the sea, and sent thunder echoing across the planet. Satellites shorted. Whales beached. The clouds themselves were ripped in two. Thor crashed to the ground beside the still body of Godzilla, breathing heavily, Mjolnir steaming at his side. It was over, or so he thought.